This is a FouAVO Studio podcast.
Yo, welcome to episode 6 of Not Fully There with me, Dion Davis. And if you're new, hi. All I need is about 20 minutes of your time. You can go on from there. And if you're returning, welcome back. Today's episode, I want to get into hoaxes, fake news, stuff like that. But before we really get into that, this podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all that stuff. Also, I stream on Twitch occasionally as of this recording. Maybe I'm doing more of it. I don't know. Go to twitch.tv/thisisdion14. So, the reason why I wanted to get into this because this whole Carly Russell situation, this abduction hoax, this is the thing that they're going to be really talking about once they really figure out why she did it, why she lied, and do all this other stuff. Because as of this recording, apparently she lied about everything. So, that's the theme of today's episode. And I also had a chance to look more into hoaxes and pretty much the idea of it and why. And I guess it's a pathical like mindset. But you can't call everybody who creates hoaxes a sociopath unless they actually are sociopaths. Okay, you don't want to go around calling anybody, hey, yo, you a sociopath because you did this, because you did that, yada, yada, yada. However, hoaxes, the main purpose is to basically reel you in to deceive you or for them to get financial gain. And what I mean by deceive, either the thing that Jussie Smollett did. Now, I can get fully into the whole Jussie Smollett situation. I could if I want to. But I don't want to make this whole thing about Carly Russell, Jussie Smollett. I want to get behind some old hoaxes that pretty much been around and that people still believe in, or maybe it has been debunked by many theorists because, again, hoax has been around. The idea of hoax has been around for more than 100+ years at this point. Okay? Like, obviously, it has to be. But it also falls down the line of using the word fake news. Okay, we as Americans are fed into fake news, and hoaxes can be the word hoax can be a simplified word other than using fake news. Maybe if you write down a hoax, it'd be like really nice to put down on an essay instead of putting fake news and quotations around it. But every single iteration of a hoax is either to deceive or receive. Okay, just let's do that. Deceive or receive. That's what we're doing, like a TED Talk. Everybody with me. Deceive or receive. Okay. But it's back like then. Based off my research, based off the things that I read about hoaxes, all this stuff happened. Like, not even all this stuff happened, but it's mainly to fool people. Like to fool people. Like, this one thing I'm looking at right now, back in 1770, it's called the trunk. It's a chess playing automation type thing. So somebody is like this big giant machine, life-size model of an adult male dressed in robes and a turban and a cabinet measuring 3 feet long. All right, so it has like a chessboard on top of it. But the thing is, there's a guy inside who's the most award-winning chess player. And they went throughout Europe with this trunk and stuff like that and beating out numbers like Napoleon Bonaparte and Benjamin Franklin. Like, that's the type of shit that this was going on. Now, what was the purpose of that? What was the purpose of the hoax? Most likely to play around or whatever. Maybe that's the thing. Another thing I looked into was back in 1934, the Loch Ness Monster. A picture of the Loch Ness Monster. For years, I thought the Loch Ness Monster was real. Maybe it is. Nobody knows. Maybe everybody's saying there's a piece of driftwood. Okay, that's a hoax. And like let's get into like some internet stuff. Some things that I didn't know about. Like back in 2006, The Lonely Girl 15. I don't know really too much about any of the early stuff on YouTube, even though I am an early YouTuber. But apparently, when I'm reading it was a 16-year-old girl named Bree. She posted vlogs about her life under the username Lonely Girl 15. and the video gained a following when the girl's parents supposedly were missing, and then it was outed as fictional 4 months later after it began. And then you got stuff like how to charge an iPod with an Apple, how to charge an iPod with an Onion, and stuff like that. And it's like these are the things that meme culture created. Maybe and people who make memes, people who love to deceive people in general, make things difficult for everybody to believe. So, for example, in 2016, this whole fake news thing's going around during the whole during the presidential election. You didn't know what to believe, but then later down the line, you definitely found out that it was better for us to believe the truth other than the lie, because at that point, whoever got into office, that happened, and that was that. Okay, and I don't want to get further into that at all, because again, I'm trying to keep this podcast non-political, even though today's episode would be almost close to it because of the things I have to talk about. But it's to draw hoaxes. It's like, let's think of this 5-step program. Okay, here we go. Your 5-step program on how to create how the perfect hoax can be created. All right, here we go. Number 1, draw attention to their fraudulent skills. Maybe they love to deceive people. Maybe they have the best thing. Maybe they have the best ways to deceive people. And I can get into the whole entire explanation of deceiving in a second and why this makes sense. 2, to gain financial benefits. To gain financial benefits through through deceivement. Whatever the hell I'm trying to use. Whatever word I'm trying to use. Okay. Financial gain. There's fellas and there's ladies out here. Let me use the right words these days. The people, okay, some of them are sociopathical hoaxers, where they put out the bait. They put out things to deceive victims or deceive a group, to get out something from someone. And you can use that same connection from the stuff that Jussie Smollett did. Jussie Smollett created a racial hoax. Maybe Carly Russell's hoax is an abduction hoax, because maybe there is this lack of police involvement, a lack of anything on why there's so many black girls, and not even just black girls, why there's so many little girls, women, and all that getting abducted in broad daylight or anything like that. So, but then there's other hoaxes that also are basically targeting certain groups, either to deceive or make or bring light to a situation, to create a viral moment in that purpose. But because of the fact that they're doing that to themselves in this viral moment in their viral lives, it's getting affected. Now, maybe Jussie Smollett didn't mean to do that. Maybe he at the beginning when he was saying, "Oh, I didn't mean to do this," yada yada yada. At the end of the day, it didn't matter that it still was wrong. You still deceived people. You lied to people. You lost out on your job opportunities because of that. Now, whatever Carly Russell's going to go through, that's whatever happens to her. It's whatever happens to her. But maybe it's something mental going on with these people. Maybe that's the reason why. But not everybody who is like I said in the beginning, not everybody's a sociopath hoaxer. Nobody's a sociopathical hoaxer unless they really want to get into somebody's like mindset. Maybe they want to put all this deceitment into into the eyes and ears of people who follow them. Let's use episode 6 example of like overshadowing people, like, or basically the past 2 episodes when people are trying to get things seen, confidence, all the other stuff, like yada yada yada. What if there's a moment, like say on TikTok or on Twitter, somebody's saying something that's clearly not true, okay? And you get few 100,000, maybe a million impressions. 1 million people have seen something wrong. Let's use an example that, hey, everybody who cuts an apple right now, there's going to be 1 seed in there. 1 seed. No more than 1 seed. Okay? Then you got people who believe that, that's not true. Apples have more than just 1 seed, so you can replant them. Then you're going to have people like, well, technically, let's believe, whatever I read on the internet must be true, because if you cut an apple right now, it's going to be 1 seed, because it makes sense. You make 1 apple, it should get you 1 seed, not more than 1. Then there's a debate back and forth. Maybe whoever said that in the beginning, wrote that little message on the internet, is happy because now they created this conversation, this disconnect. Maybe they already know there's more than one seed in a freaking apple. Okay? It makes sense. That's technically a connection to a sociopathical hoaxer. And I used, I think I said the last episode or episode 6, episode 5, that the troll community are almost like the same exact thing. If you go to 4chan right now, a majority of hoaxes, a majority of the internet hoaxes started from that channel. That started in that channel. I've been saying channel so often these past few weeks, it's irritating. So those people on that website create these things. And let's use QAnon, for example. Not trying to get too political, but that's why I'm bringing the whole fake news situation. And then from there, I'm not going to talk about it ever again. So I might, in a second, want to connect to the other stuff. So with this QAnon stuff, that right there, majority of the stuff maybe that they're putting out there to everybody's ears was fake news. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I'm not going to put down to anybody in their beliefs and their support and the people who they support, but it created a really big disconnect between every community. And I'm not just trying to say that there's a big giant racial divide. There's always going to be a racial divide. There's always going to be somebody who's going to be on this group and this group, and they're going to fight each other, and they're going to say things to hurt people. That's the purpose of hoaxes. It's not, you don't see, unless this hoax is happening every single day. I'm using the word hoax as a house to other common situations. Fake news, false information, stuff like that. That's all there under a hoax. Okay? But can hoaxes be good in a positive or a negative way? Maybe the thing that Justice Smollett did with this whole racial thing, maybe that was a positive thing to actually help out and figure out what the hell's going on with the black and brown communities on why nobody is hearing them. There's a hate crime, yada, yada, yada. Or maybe whatever happening in the Asian community or whatever's happening in the community of racial stuff. Cool. But then whatever was going through Carly Russell's mind about this whole abduction thing, she went through and made this whole story. What was the purpose? Maybe we'll know. Maybe by the time I make another few episodes, I'll know. I'll double check later down the line. But who knows? Maybe most of the articles I was reading were saying maybe it could have been to help bring light to the millions and millions of missing girls that keep getting abducted. And I'm saying that for example, but technically there's a lot of children, there's a lot of teens, even adults who are getting kidnapped and abducted in broad daylight, and nobody's doing nothing about that. Maybe this was the reason why they wanted to go ahead and say this and make this thing happen. They get people's ears and eyes on it and then deceive them later down the line. But once you do that, nobody's going to give a shit about what you said, because all they're going to believe and what they want to see, all they want to look into now is why you lied. We could have just came up and said, hey, this is what happened. But maybe she has some mental things going on. We won't know, and we can't assume that. But with all these hoaxes and all this other stuff, deceiving groups has been this way for years. And politics, companies, rivals with friends and families, it's always been that way. It's never going to change, okay? But we all have to think ourselves as magicians at this point. It doesn't matter if you're not pulling a bunny out of a hat. It doesn't matter if you're tricking somebody with this card trick. We're all magicians. We're all people who are creating hoaxes, okay? We might be creating a hoax right now. We don't even know. Maybe you're creating a little white lie that somehow is keeping you protected from your friends or family. Maybe you're creating a little white lie to protect your own mental stability to yourself, to believe your own insecurities. Maybe that's the situation. Nobody knows, bro. Nobody knows. But all I have to say is hoaxes are confusing. Hoaxes happen. You either are strong enough to believe it, or you're strong enough to not believe it. Maybe you thought I was going to say you're dumb. No, if you believe in what you want to believe, that's what you believe. I can't say anything about what you believe in. I can't say anything about what you believe in your in politics and your religion, in your own personal body. It doesn't matter. Whatever you feel comfortable in, that's that. Maybe you want to believe. Maybe you fell into a cult at one time and you somehow stumbled upon this black guy's podcast. Maybe you did that at one point. And you're listening to me right now. It's like, oh wow, that Dion guy. I don't know what the hell he's saying, but it makes sense. Like, maybe that's happening. I don't know. All I'm saying is that we're all trying to find things to escape reality. And there's people who will abuse that precious time that you're putting into or trying to observe or trying to like put away. They're taking advantage of that to either deceive you for their own little jitters, their own little happiness in their body, or they're trying to get money off of you. Either they're trying to scam you or they're trying to do this. Like if you get a phone call on your phone right now, you're getting scammed from like, I don't know, like one of those scammers or whatever. There's people believing that they're deceiving. That's the purpose. But I'm not using I'm not using the word that every single caller, every single call center you get. Every single phone call you get from a call center is a hoax. Maybe it is. The word hoax is like the word hoax is basically hocus pocus, magicians, yada yada yada. That's basically the freaking connection of the word. Okay, we're all magicians at the end of the day, and I'm really doing right now is trying to fill filler because I got a few more minutes to talk. But I'm trying to fully understand why it's fun to fool people. I just don't understand why things happen the way they do. I don't understand why there's never fully an explanation on why things that we witness in life never get resolved unless you actually have to fight for it. And maybe that's the theme from last week's, maybe that's the theme from last episode. You gotta really shove things in people's faces. You gotta shove things in people's ears. They're not going to listen to you unless you really, really make an impact. But I don't think hoaxes, I don't think deceiving people, I don't think any of that is right. Whatever the hell that happened in the 2016 election, whatever happened in 2020, whatever happened with that stuff, that's not the way to go. But it happened. Companies, I mean, let's use Sony and Microsoft. They don't really have a big fight these days anymore. But early on, it was always F Sony, F Microsoft, all that blah blah blah. Same thing with Apple and Microsoft. Apple this, Microsoft that, Windows this, Mac OS that, blah, blah, blah. It's always going to be a battle. Sometimes you're going to have to break a few eggs to get a few omelets. And those omelets are basically the deceivement. You got to break a few eggs. You got to break some stuff in order to get people to listen to you. And with that all being said, I mean, that's really all I have really to say. So, I like to thank everybody who did get a chance to fully listen to this episode. If you want to support, you can always go to Spotify. Yeah, I never explained this. If you listen to this on Spotify, there is a question on Spotify. I would like y'all to also follow the Spotify as well. I've realized a lot of people are listening to this on Apple, so this podcast is actually This podcast is actually owned by Spotify, technically, or it uses Spotify. Yeah, all I really gotta say is please support the podcast. It would be really appreciated. Also, I'm losing track of my thoughts right now. Oh, make sure you drink some water and support your local black businesses. I'll see you Saturday.
This is a FouAVO Studio podcast.